An evidence issue here. And by the way, while we have a second, let's bring in criminal defense attorney Joanna Greenwald. She is with us. I want to talk a little bit about Paul Odgren. Joanna, good to see you.
Hi there.
Joanna, Paul Odgren on the stand talking about his son and his mental difficulties. How do you think he's coming off to the jury?
I think it's coming off as very sad, but also he appears somewhat numbed. He doesn't seem as super emotional, if you will. He's very much put together.
Okay.
As opposed to dealing with speaking about a parent speaking about how sick their child is and the ramifications as a parent, just as a person, the ramifications of what in some ways you've created. And he's just going ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. This is the noise. This is who he is, like this. Rather than losing it.
Joanna, I think also he mentioned that his son became interested in weapons. He also seemed very numb there. I think that could be one of the problems here.
That's a
the way
big
he's
problem.
reacting to this.
That is a huge problem because jurors are people too.
Right.
And this is of the peers. Many of them can be parents or people who work with children. And as human nature, they're going to say, you have a sick kid, and you know he likes weapons, how do you allow him near other children?
All right,
That's
Joanna,
like a gut reaction.
Thank you so much, Joanna. Let's go back to court.
John's description of this, what he was hearing.
All right, throughout this trial, we've been asking you to tell us what you object to in the Odgren trial. Now, you wrote and called in with a lot of great comments. And so we've got InSession law enforcement contributor Mike Brooks here and criminal defense attorney Joanna Greenwald to rule on your objections. So let's start with the first one. Now, to give you some background here, defense attorney Jonathan Shapiro says John Odgren was mentally disabled, and that's what caused him to snap and stab another student. Take a listen.
Now, in 1999, when John was about 9 years old, he was diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, as well as major depressive disorder. Since then, he's been diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, anxiety disorder, depression, pervasive developmental disorder, and possibly with bipolar disorder. And for the past 10 years, he has been treated and prescribed heavy-duty medication for these conditions. As a result of these mental illnesses, John was a severely disabled child.
Now, Dee Bartlett in Tennessee writes, I object to the defense using Asperger's syndrome as the cause for this young man committing the crime. This is one of many teenagers that wanted to see what it felt like to stab someone and see them die. People with this diagnosis are not violent. They just don't know how to talk to their peers. Let me turn to Joanna first. Joanna, what do you think? Do you sustain or overrule this objection?
I overrule that objection. One, because I believe that Asperger's did have some role, but I don't believe that that is by itself the only cause of this situation. So I have to overrule that objection because it's not completely in toto what is wrong with this scenario, which is completely a messed up situation.
Okay, Mike, what do you think?
No, I think this person, I think our caller, our writer, is absolutely right. We talked to some people yesterday, some of our callers to InSession, that said this is basically a high-functioning form of autism. Was it only Asperger's that led to this? But that goes back. Did he know right from wrong when he stabbed this young man? I would say that he did know right from wrong.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't, Joanna?
No, he didn't. And the thing that's very disconcerting to me, which I have a news sign. It says, let me make sure it says, bad, bad. My witness that I've been watching the whole time, you have a father who says, and my son understood it. He didn't understand. He brings a knife several times, play guns, and he understood it. That's a bad witness for the defense because people keep hearing that he understood it. Now you have to do with I agree with Mr. Brooks, you have to prove right from wrong, and he appreciated his actions. The father believed he appreciated it. So now the jurors are going to believe that he appreciated right for wrong. But there's no way, not with someone that has all of these things that are wrong with him, that it is possible that he could have appreciated these actions.
All right. Well, let's turn to the second objection here. Now, nobody's denying that John Odgren stabbed James Allenson. The medical examiner elaborated